My name is David Williams, and I'm very pleased that you could be here today with us for our new forecast live utilizing the Square Principle webinar. If you're new to PageTrader or new to coming to our Square Principle webinars, the purpose of these webinars is for you to consider coming to our June 25th and 26th Square Principle seminar here in Las Vegas over at the Mirage Hotel. On that weekend, I'll be teaching the incredible Square Principle to those of you that have an interest in being there. So that is the purpose, but our company, PageTrader, we're now in our 23rd year of providing market forecasts for both professional and home-based or more ordinary traders, perhaps just like you, in both stocks and in commodities all over the world. Please be sure to read our trading disclaimer, which is at the bottom of each of these pages. Let me get it on here for you. Trading is risky. You can lose money. We don't give out investment advice, but we do publish worldwide our forecasts for what we think the market is going to do. So again, thanks for coming. And you probably have, some of you may have been here before to listen in or to try to understand what the Square Principle is all about. And some of you are somewhat new to it. Whoops, hold on for a moment. Stay with me. Let me just, I momentarily lost my screen there for a moment. The Square Principle allows you to forecast very accurately what the market is likely going to do and the exact price it's likely going to go to. Now, each of our last 5 webinars regarding this subject, the Square Principle, and our upcoming June 25th and 26th Square Principle webinar over at the Mirage Hotel, each of the last 5, I have given out 1 or 2 forecasts to demonstrate live exactly what the market was going to do, so that I can show you that it isn't just looking at past charts. The Square Principle, when you learn it, will allow you to forecast into the future what the market is likely going to do. And the last time, which was last Tuesday, well, the time before that, which was the 16th, this is up here, we had said the S&P was trading at 43.23, it would advance to 43.56, and it did that. The last webinar, which was on the 22nd of last week, I told you in a meeting just like this, today's S&P should advance to 45.10 to 45.12 by late today or slightly beyond. The market at the time was trading at 44.74, and the market rallied to 45.10 and 45.12. Last week, I also told you in that same webinar on Tuesday, March 22nd, that Tesla, which was then trading at $988, because of the Square Principle, would advance to 1,050 or higher into this week, the week of March 28th. This is a daily chart of Tesla. The price was $988 at the time. The market, in fact, did gap up this week. It actually opened $3 higher than 1,050 and has made a high of $1,114.77. All of these forecasts, all 3 of these recent Square Principle webinar forecasts, were made live before any of the subsequent move happened, before Tesla moved up into this week, before the market advanced to here, 43.67, before the market moved up to 45.12. They didn't have any of these price bars at the time. It was all completely in advance. Wouldn't you like to know how to do that? Wouldn't knowing how to do that potentially change everything? What if you could suddenly forecast like this? You've seen me do it now. If you've come to the last 5 of our webinars, you've seen me do it 5 times in a row with 100% accuracy, every one of them. What would you do? how would your life change? How would your next day, your next week, your next month be altered by your ability to masterfully forecast what a market is going to do? Not just saying it's going to go up or down, but saying the exact price, distant price, not 2 points away, the exact distant price that the market is going to run to, and be able to do that on any time frame of your choice. If you want to forecast really small moves, you're welcome to do so. If you want to forecast larger moves, intermediate size moves, you're welcome to do so. But any time frame that you would want to forecast, how would it feel to be able to do that? I can tell you how it feels, and so can several hundred of our Square Principal students. They can tell you how it feels as well. And many of our many people who use PageTrader who have not yet come to the Square Principal seminar are just as enthusiastic about the amazing forecasts that we can make on any given day. I took the long trade. I'm out at 46, 10, 25. These are today's people, but we have thousands of these. And these are people, many in case, that don't know the Square Principal, but they're here and very excited about what the Square Principal allows us to forecast for them. So the difference between them and you is that by coming to the seminar on June 25th and June 26th, you will then be able to understand exactly how to do this for yourself. At that point, when you do understand it, and when you have learned the Square Principal, and by the way, you will be learning it from me. I developed it all the way back. This is our last Square Principal seminar here in Las Vegas at the Mirage Hotel. When I developed it, I had no idea at that time that this was information that really nobody else knew. I just thought everybody would kind of know this information because I was so new to the markets. But as it turned out, nobody knew this information. And if people did know it, you would see everybody on the internet forecasting with extremely high accuracy what the exact movement of the market is going to be. And you don't see that. You see all kinds of people saying what they think might happen, what could happen, what could happen, any number of combinations of it, simply because they don't presently know the Square Principal, like you will know it when you come on June 25th and June 26th to the Mirage Hotel and learn the incredible Square Principal directly from me. One of the interesting things about having this knowledge is when you actually know this, you can see very clearly where others don't see it. It's really obvious when they're attempting to do their best with what the market has given them. You can see that there are big blind spots that they don't have clarity on because they don't have the incredible Square Principal. That won't make any difference to your accuracy, but it does make a really big difference to their accuracy. And with your newfound mastery, and by the way, these three are the ones that all of you that have come, these are just three, but I did it 5 times at the last 5 of these. But having said that, with your newfound mastery of the Square Principal, you will be able to see potential forecastable moves in the market that you certainly cannot see now, and be able to do something about it. So let's talk about what the Square Principal is exactly and what it'll allow you to do. Now, the Square Principal, you know what, I think one of my charts went away here. I thought I had it. You know what I may do, because I really want to make this clear? I'm going to just momentarily turn off the screen, so stay with me. I might have, let me just double check this. Oh, no, I have it. Okay, I'm so sorry. I thought I didn't. Let's go through it. when you come to the Square Principle seminar on the weekend of June 25th and 26th, that's Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to teach you, number one, the Square Principle itself. Number two, I'm going to show you how you utilize the Square Principle to forecast the exact price any market's going to advance or decline to. And that equals use of the Square Principle on any time frame. So when you know this, number two, how to forecast the exact price any market will advance or decline to, you know that on every time frame or your choice of time frame. Number three, I'll teach you how to forecast when huge advances or declines are about to occur. That's called the regained square. That portion you're going to learn at the seminar as well. And four, how to place buy or sell orders at the exact price the market is going to touch and immediately reverse on. I know you don't know any of this now, but what I really know is you don't know number four, how to place buy and sell orders at the exact price the market will touch and immediately reverse on. And that is called the square within the square. There's also much more you'll learn. And all of this will be just within the 2 days, and each day is 4 hours per day. One of those hours is a great lunch that we all have together, and then 3 hours each day of me showing you and demonstrating the Square Principle. One thing I want to make sure that you know and understand is that you don't have to be a genius or have special skills to make the Square Principle work. And although it may sound impossible that you can do this, there's no question now, for those of you who've come to the last 5 seminars, there can be no doubt at this point that it works. I've demonstrated it 5 times in a row with 100% accuracy. You're not going to see that kind of accuracy trading with MACD, RSI, a group of indicators, or literally anything like cycles, pattern recognition, trend lines, overbought and sold indicators, divergence, oscillators, moving averages, VIX, ticks, delta, mirrors, moon phases, astrology, tidal rhythms, Elliott wave, Gann, pitchfork, fractals, Fibonacci. I can go on and on. You don't see this accuracy. And I can do it another 5 times with 100% accuracy. And the reason it can be done that way is because when you understand the principle by which the market is making these moves, you are much, much closer to being able to accurately forecast what the market is going to do. And while I never can promise you that you're going to be a millionaire by knowing the Square Principle, I can promise you that without the Square Principle, you will have no chance. You won't have a chance to be able to know in advance what the single distant price target is of a swing that hasn't even happened yet in the market. And I would tell you that while there are people who occasionally get lucky and may make quite a bit of money, almost all of them end up giving it back because they really weren't operating from knowledge. They were lucky, perhaps, that the market ran, and maybe they held for a long enough time to really do well. But in so many cases, they end up giving that back. And the reason they give it back is because they weren't operating with real knowledge about what the market's nature is. And that's what the Square Principle will give you. Now, look, I understand, and I know you do too, that there are many people and many books and many sources of information that might tell you that what I'm telling you is impossible. But there can be no question anymore for most of you here today, because you've seen 5 examples of it in a row at 100% accuracy, forecasting future price movement and the exact price or higher that the market was going to go. And it was a distant target in each place, in each case. So there really can be no question about whether it works or not. It does. And when you've learned it, and learning it is a little like learning a new language, because you certainly currently don't know the Square Principle and you don't know any portion of it. So when you come to the seminar and you sit and watch, I'm going to teach you all new information. Even if you've been in the markets for a long time, I can promise you right now that what I'm going to teach you is going to be a very different thing. Now, one of the things we wanted to forecast for you today And any of you here that were in our meetings today, you know from the very start, we told you that the later part of today's session, let's bring up the S&P, just so you can see this, and Jerry's here with me as well. He'll talk about it. And some of you to here today may be subscribers, and you know we said this. So I'm just going to put up about a 120-minute chart here, or even a 60-minute chart. Here it is. What we told everybody in today's session was that the S&P, first of all, was going to decline. I forgot exactly the number that we said. I think it was 90 to 89. They ultimately went down to 45, 81, 75, basically 82. But we were forecasting from up here that they were going to fail at 22 and go down to 89, 90 to 89. They did that. They never closed hourly below that level. And that late in the session, the market was going to advance up to retest the 46.22 and then run to 46.31 to 32. Take a look at today's late session high, 46.31. There's no way you'll ever have a chance to know how to do that without knowing the square principle. I know all the tools and stuff that's out there. Believe me, I know all about cycles and bar counts and candlesticks and trend lines and overbought and oversold indicators and all kinds of more complicated things and mixed uses of market profile and regression and volume and MACD and stochastics and Fibonacci and Gann and pitchforks and fractals and ellipses. I know all that. And I may know that even better than most. But I can tell you none of that allows you to do with the simplicity and grace that the square principle does, which allows you to forecast completely unknown future events that the market's going to do in advance. And I don't think I have to tell you that if you have that information by coming on June 25th and June 26th, if you understand this principle, I don't think I have to tell you what that might do for your life and for your trading and for everything that depends on your being financially well off. Again, I can't promise any of you that you'll be driving Lamborghinis or whatever it is that your picture of a financial future is, but I can tell you this, without the square principle, the markets are a gamble. They are effectively random, even though they're really not. But you have to know the principle in order to put it together the way that I've shown you here. Now, I do want to flip to a few other charts that are behind here that are recent forecasts that we made. And I do want to invite you to come listen to me tomorrow when I'm on making forecasts with the great Ben Lichtenstein over here on the left, and this is me over here. When I'm on that program tomorrow morning, I will be forecasting for his audience of over 10,000 people exactly what the crude oil market's going to do and where crude is going to trade in the third quarter of this year, something you would have no way of knowing right now. But when you do learn the square principle, you'll be able to determine exactly what the market is likely going to do. You'll be using a tool and an understanding that is predictive by nature, not something that requires after the fact explanation. It doesn't involve subjective use of wave counting or anything like that. It, in fact, is 100% objective. Your square principle indications are going to be as accurate as mine. They'll be exactly the same as mine because the square principle is objective. Counting waves is subjective because man A is going to tell you this is a wave 2, man B is going to say, no, that's actually a wave 4, and you're heading into your wave 5, and everyone's going to have their different count. That's not the case with the incredible square principle. So whether you like trading very short-term charts or stepping up to the hourly and daily, weekly, or even monthly forecasts that you can make, you can finally stop your search because the square principle really does work. And now there can be no question about that, can there? Because I have forecast for you 5 times in a row with 100% accuracy, something that you'll be able to do when you learn the incredible square principle. And so on the weekend of June 25th and June 26th behind the closed doors of a very private conference room here in Las Vegas at the Mirage Hotel. I'll be speaking to a select number of fortunate traders who will be given a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to learn what I was lucky to discover about markets. You won't be learning it from a CD or over the telephone or in some mentoring session, but under the direct instruction from me, directly with you, answering your questions throughout the seminar so that you can leave totally understanding what the square principle is and what it'll allow you to do. Now, you may be a very hard-nosed skeptic, but nothing beats a skeptic into the ground like simply forecasting the future and being correct about it. Like Amazon, which we made a forecast this week when Amazon was trading at $3,360, that it would be up at $3,440 next week. That's our current forecast for Amazon. You might want to write that down. Nothing changes a skeptic's mind except seeing that your forecast was exactly spot on and that they suddenly realize, you know what? I think I need to go to that seminar to learn this because you haven't seen what I've shown you in the last 5 weeks anywhere else on the internet. And you know that's true. There's nobody else that's just coming out and laying out exactly what the market's going to do and then coming back to show you, and you see it for yourself on your own screen, that that's exactly what the market does. Wouldn't you like to learn that? You can by coming to the Incredible Square Principle. Now, I can't say to you that you'll be able to, if you'll come to the seminar, that you'll be immediately able to make your seminar attendance fee back, because I never can promise. I don't know individually how people process information. I don't know if they're, trading on its own takes some discipline, but all of the other qualities that you need to do this well, which does include indeed some discipline and some emotional control over what you're doing, a kind of a relaxed, almost graceful kind of relaxed interest in the market, waiting for your set of conditions to appear. I can't promise you that you'll make your tuition fee back right away, but I can tell you with the square principle, you'll be able to forecast swings that singularly will pay you back many times over what the square principle cost. Single moves that by themselves will, if you traded it, would pay the entire thing back. And I've made many, many, many of those. Honestly, just in the S&P alone, something like this forecast going, this is small, 44.83 up to 44.99. That's a relatively small move. This is a little bigger. This is a 40-point move. In the E-mini, that's a pretty decent sized little piece. Even though the market went much further, we only take credit for what we forecast. So this move on its own is a $2,000 move on the E-mini. Even though I'm not comfortable talking about money, I can tell you that on your own, you'll be able to forecast moves that even single moves, not even adding other markets in, will be able to pay the entire seminar back to you. That's how effective the square principle actually is. Now, I want to finalize, before I bring Jerry on here, something to give you a little further teaser about the square principle and why you will be so happy you've known it and learned it, and why you'll always regret not having learned this principle. Number one, you'll regret it because you know you saw me do it 5 times in a row with distant price targets, and I just gave you another one on Amazon. And you know that you saw that and that there's nothing else out there that will give that to you. And if there was something out there that would give that to you, you would see other people doing what we're doing, and you don't. So there is absolutely value for you coming to this seminar to learn how to do this. Number two, if you have an intellectual mind, you're probably wondering exactly how this works. What kind of things are we doing to put these forecasts together? Well, I'm going to give you a little teaser this time. something for you to think about while you're thinking about coming to the seminar. And by the way, seats are already selling for the seminar, and I'll tell you how you can get yours. But before I do, I want to give you this little teaser. Every movement in the market, whether the market is gold, crude oil, S&P, you name your favorite market, you fill in whatever market you want. Every move, no matter what time frame it occurs on, happens for the exact same reason. So just think about that for a minute. Whether that move is a $70 move in crude oil, or whether it is a $40 move in the S&P, or a 50-point advance like this one was in the S&P, those moves all have a singular, identifiable reason. And the reason is always the same. That's what I want to give you as a teaser. And I'll prove it to you at the seminar. It doesn't matter if it's a 15-minute chart, a 60-minute chart, a daily chart, or a yearly chart. The market moves to these distant price targets on each of those time frames for the exact same reason. And that's why the square principle will serve you so well. It exposes that single reason to you and prompts you to take advantage of it at just the right moment. Just like you see us doing day after day. And who are we? Who is Page Trader? Who are you going to be listening to? Well, I don't have any books that I've written, and I'm not, other than being on a few TV programs here and there for forecasting, I'm really relatively unknown. But my forecasts are not unknown. They're all over the world, and tens and tens of thousands of people know that they're real. There's nothing on the internet that says, hey, these guys didn't really make these forecasts. We really did, every one of them, and there's tens and tens of thousands of them correct that are in our website and all over the internet now. So when you say to yourself, what can I do to improve and radically alter the results that I'm getting when I'm trying to forecast what markets are doing, you come to the square principle. That's what you should do. I can't make you come. I can't force you to come. And I can't promise you I'll be teaching the square principle forever, because I won't. But I am teaching it on June 25th and June 26th. And some of you have been coming for quite some time, coming to our Market Thoughts program, coming to listen to our square principle. Some have even taken some subscriptions. And you're still wondering, after having seen all of that, about whether you want to learn it. I'm not trying to take it away from you, but I am going to tell you I won't be teaching it forever. And at some point, and some point soon, it would be a very good idea to seriously consider whether or not it's time for you to learn the square principle and let that principle do the work rather than guessing at what the market is likely going to do. Now remember, you don't have to be a genius. I'm not a genius. You don't have to have special skills to make the square principle work. But you will develop a very special skill once I teach you the square principle. You will develop a skill, and it's a very special one, that will allow you to make these kinds of calls and know in advance what the likely outcome is going to be to the tick, what the exact price a market is going to go to. Just like we said today that the S&P earlier in our session, that the S&P was going to run up to two prices. Late in the session, it was going to go up to 46.21 to 22 again, and also a new high at 46.30 to 32, right in that area. And we did make a high of 46.31 late in the session. You won't find anyone else on the internet that made that forecast, I can assure you. And when you come on June 25th and 26th to the Square Principle Seminar, I can also assure you that the person that made that forecast, the one that you're looking at on your screen right now, is going to teach you the Square Principle. It should be helpful for you to know that everything I teach you will be new information. You currently do not know, no matter what you know, you don't presently know the square principle. Let me bring somebody else on that also didn't presently know the square principle. But by coming to the square principle, he learned it well enough, so that when you come to our website to take a trial, and I can still invite you to do so. Let me get our website page up here. When you come to a trial, and you do it, you can do this. You can take a trial, $7, and you'll get a full week of what we do, so you can see for yourself. Even though I've made forecasts here for you the past 5 weeks, I'll do it again many, many times over. You can take a trial here, but this particular person came to our site. He took the course, and now he got so good at the square principle that when you sign up for our square principle, or excuse me, our Williams Edge Plus product, the blue right here, when you sign up for that, you'll be listening to him make the square principle forecasts for you. And you'll see how accurate he's doing it. So he's in the room, in the Williams Edge Plus room, as one of our products, and that's our most popular product, where we're actually verbalizing and walking these forecasts through to completion. His name is Jerry. I'm going to bring him on. Let's listen to him a little bit. So Jerry, good afternoon. Thanks so much for coming. Glad you could be here. Let's talk any market you'd like, or anything you'd like to say to a group of people who are seriously thinking about coming to the seminar.
No, love to, David. Glad to be back. I missed last week, and glad to be back with the group this week. And again, you know, David, lately it's always it really makes me feel good. I love looking through the attendee list here and see some of the names, people like, like Jason. I saw Jason here and said, geez, I remember talking to Jason back in 2015. I don't think I've talked to him since, but his name popped right out at me as someone I enjoyed talking to and was a subscriber at one point in time. Emel's here, Ed Witten's here. It's just, there's too many to name, but I love seeing some of the folks I've spoken to and have had as either subscribers or what have you over the years. It's always nice to see some of these folks. And, obviously, David, I do have a few points to make. And everybody who's listening to you, I fully believe that probably I'm going to guess, just say 98% of these folks here absolutely believe that we are calling and we are doing this just as you lay out, that you're not full of BS. This is not after the fact, that everything you've said, that we've said, has occurred. Many guys here in the room that are in this meeting here were part of the room here today, heard us do exactly precisely what we wish we could have. We're going to have to move these to like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning.
Because the forecasts run out by the time we have the seminar, and I have to make a new one in a stock or something.
Yeah, because listen, I know these guys would like to hear something that's really imminent. This was the one. We listened, guys. We bought the market this afternoon at 45.87, 86. There's a number of folks here who traded it, and they traded it all the way up to 46.20. So it was, a 30-point move. And those who have been in the room in the past, maybe not current subscribers, David, they know that we do it all the time, day in and day out. Sometimes it's going to be an 8 to 10-point move. Today happened to be a beautiful 30-point move. You talk about paying for either, again, we don't like to talk about money, but that opportunity is there. Once you learn the square principle, the opportunity and the knowledge and the ability that a trader gains is truly priceless. It really is. So I do have a few points I'd like to make, and that is, as a subscriber who learned the principle back in 2016, when there was no room at that time, and my ability to do what we do day in and day out in the room is only made possible by knowing the square principle, your generosity and willingness to teach it to people, my ability to have gone and learned it and to absorb it the way that I've absorbed it, and just made it part of who I am as a trader and as a person who's been looking at the markets for, gosh, hate to even admit it, 35 years. But that's the reality of it. It does continue to blow me away and impress me even though I'm the guy using it. But I'm tickled every time we have the opportunity to have these square to square moves. It really is astounding. So I've said repeatedly here, David, in these that, I know that there's plenty of things that people are using that they might be comfortable with. But there truly is nothing like the mystery of the square principle, because it truly does explain so much of the market's movement and the market's action. So as a trader truly desires and thirsts for true knowledge, true understanding, then they really owe it to themselves to be there in June. You won't teach it forever. It's what motivated me back in 2016 to learn it. I'm just that kind of guy that needs to know how to fish. I don't want someone to do it for me. I need to know it so that I'm independent. So the day you decide to stop teaching it or can't teach it, won't teach it for whatever reason, I knew that I needed to know this principle and this mystery of the market, if you want to call it that. But and I'm thankful every day that I can do what I do, and I know that I can only do it because of your ability and willingness to have taught it. There's many folks here who actually know it. But I'm speaking directly to the people who don't, and the people who have, listened in time and time again. My points are, is there a holdup? Is there something holding you back? Is it skepticism? Is it doubt? Is it finances? Is it the ability to travel? What is it? Figure out how to overcome that, because you wouldn't be continuing to come to the webinar unless you're coming for the trade, which I don't think people are real. I mean, it's interesting, David, you're going to put a forecast out and something that we can, everybody can benefit from, but that's really not why they're here. They're here because they really have an interest. And for whatever is finally going to get that interest to learn the principle, get them over the hump to come out and learn it once and for all. And then with your help, my help, master it and really change the face of how they trade. Those are the individuals we're really interested in. And again, the group will be kept small in June, as it was purposefully in March. Nice and safe, very comfortable, relaxed. It really was a great size that we had there.
Yeah.
Very intimate, get us an opportunity to really get to know everybody and have a chance to really hear all of the questions and make sure everybody was on board. But I'd like to hear from people either here now or in an email or a phone call, and discuss what it is that prevents them from coming. Listen, if you've been trading for years, as I have. And maybe it doesn't have to be 35 years, but I guarantee you there's nobody in here listening that is unscathed, meaning, the cost of the seminar is $69.95. I'm sure many people have lost that several times over. We don't like to admit it, but that's the reality. And that is, coming to the seminar is not money spent. It's money invested. It really is, because it is a very important piece of information that it once again gives the trader the opportunity to really change their future by changing how they view and therefore interact. Call it trading, I call it interacting with the market, making those decisions. It has the ability to transform that individual, David, as it has transformed how I interact with the market day in and day out and do what I do in the room. And if a trader really wants to provide that to themselves, the only way that I know to do that at this level is to learn the principle, point blank. Stop losing money, stop spending money on other stuff. Learn the last thing that anybody really should have to learn relative to price. I mean, we can talk about reflected wave at another point in time, but boy, the square principle is really equal to nothing else I've experienced and I've dealt with. And when I can put it together, obviously we put it together with reflected wave all the time, and wow, what a powerful combination that is. But just stand alone with the square principle. It really is a profound understanding. If someone's looking for a system, forget it. Don't bother coming. It's not a system. It's an understanding. It's a knowledge. And with that knowledge comes incredible opportunity and power to change their future of how they interact with the market. So I'm going to encourage them to certainly consider coming. I'm going to encourage those who haven't taken a recent test drive in the room, David, do so. Come spend 5 business days with us during that period of time. Hear us utilize it. You'll be impressed with what we do day in and day out. And if that doesn't convince you to come, I'm not sure anything else can. So just think about that, everybody. And again, it's just a pleasure to be here, David, and see some of these names and folks that I've come to see from time to time over that period. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay, super, Jerry. Thank you very much. And again, that's Jerry, who runs now he was a customer of PageTrader for 8 years. He's now running our Square Principal room, which is our Williams Edge Plus and Square Principal room. By the way, we do have a special Square Principal room. It's not listed. I don't believe it's listed on the website. And that's for people who do come to the Square Principal seminar. And it allows them 2 weeks in that room afterwards where they're getting the information completely in advance of what we're going to forecast publicly to the worldwide audience, how we're putting that trade together, utilizing the Square Principal, so that there's really no better way for them to learn. Then we put it out there, the forecast has been put out, and we all watch the market unfold to run to that number. There's really no better way to learn, and you get that when you come to the Square Principal seminar. So I hope you'll agree. The Square Principal is something you really can't deny it at this point. If those of you that have been here for the last 5 times and watched us make 5 completely different kinds of forecasts under different market conditions for distant price targets, exact numbers that the market would run to, and see it run to it, there can be no question. You saw that in advance. You saw your own charts develop all the way up to completing those numbers. You know it works. The only question is now, is it powerful enough for you to own? Is the Square Principal something that's, like going into a store and seeing a car that is so exciting to you that you just have to learn it? For many people who've struggled with markets, and this is why we don't take people that are new to the markets. People that are new to the markets figure, even as I wrongly did, that everybody knew the Square Principal. People new to the markets feel, well, that's what market people do, is they just forecast and the market runs to those numbers. They don't realize how incredibly difficult and how long and hard you would have to work without being able to be taught it in 2 days, how much time and energy it would take to learn this on your own. I've been doing it now since May of 1990. So I'm 32 years at this point into looking at markets and trying to understand them. And I've developed the Square Principal all the way to the point now where it can just be given to somebody. It can just be transferred simply by sitting in front of me for 3 hours on a Saturday and 3 hours on a Sunday. And the reason it's 3 hours is because there's many things you can do with it that go beyond even just forecasting a single distant price target. One other thing, the Square Principal is not available anywhere else. Don't think for a minute you're going to find a book about it, or that you're going to find another website offering it for less money, or for anything. It's not available anywhere except here. And it's only available to be learned in Las Vegas at the Mirage Hotel on June 25th and June 26th. It's entirely private information, and when you learn it, you'll totally understand why we are so protective of this information. Let me get back to our homepage here and bring you back over here. Now, Jerry had mentioned the Square Principal seminars, $69.95. That's $6,995. If you come to the seminar and learn the Square Principal, while I can't promise you that you'll make money, because we're not even legally allowed to do that, and I wouldn't want to do that, I can promise you this: the only chance that most people would have to succeed in the market, other than simply buying and holding, would be to understand how the market delivers these moves, understand the nature of the market through the Square Principal, to understand the fact that the market's going to run to a distant number. Without that, you're left to guessing and trying to use this indicator on this day, that tool on that day. As Jerry said, the Square Principal is not a trading system. A trading system is horribly limited. And it's horribly limited because it's a system. It tells you what to do under this condition or that condition. The problem is that there are too many conditions, and a system can't keep up with all the conditions. But a principle by which you understand how the market works can cover all of those conditions without trying to turn it into a system. And you'll see that for yourself when you learn the Square Principle. So it's a one-time $6,995 for the 2-day Square Principle seminar taught by me, David Williams. What does that price get you? What does it cover? And that, of course, covers the 2 days at the Mirage Hotel in Las Vegas, taught by me, David Williams, inside a private conference room. It utilizes a super large, clear digital projection screen and sound system. And it's really an ongoing conversation between the audience and me as I'm showing you how the principle works. You'll be served delicious lunch, snacks, and beverages provided on both days. Really 5-star, to be honest with you. Plus, you'll get after the seminar, unlimited after the seminar online support with me directly. Plus, you get 2 weeks in the Square Principle room where we will tell you what we're about to show the public and how we came up with it, utilizing the principle, and how your very own charts give you the same information that it gave us, and you would have been able to make that same forecast. There are no ongoing fees or anything else you'll be asked to buy, and you'll leave the seminar with a full Square Principle, a fully beautiful full leather Square Principle notebook that contains dozens and dozens of charts, just like the ones I've shown you, except it shows you the principle laid out on the chart itself so that you can go home and begin utilizing the Square Principle that very next day, that Monday or that Tuesday, whenever you get home. Again, there are no ongoing fees or anything else you'd be asked to buy. Now, obviously, given world conditions and so on, this is the only seminar that we're sure we can book. Believe me, the Mirage would love to be able to book another one for us, but they can't even promise it. The Mirage is in the process of being bought out by the Hard Rock Hotel, along with other world events that are going on, uncertainties about COVID and many other things. We just don't know when the next seminar is going to be. And if the cost is prohibitive to you, please don't worry about it. It may not be for you at this time. But I can tell you, cost is a very relative term. It's not nearly as costly as taking all of the future trades that you make without this knowledge. Without the knowledge of the Square Principle, I can assure you of that. And I've demonstrated it for you. And I have forecasted for you so you can see the difference between knowing and not knowing, or knowing and guessing. That's for sure. It's also not as expensive as wasting the next 5 years trying to figure the Square Principle out on your own. Believe me, tens of thousands of people have watched. Many of them are very smart, and no one has figured out the Square Principle. The way to learn the Square Principle is right in front of me in that room at the Mirage Hotel on June 25th and June 26th. You can book your seat for the Square Principle seminar just like this, and you don't have to put up a lot of money for it. You can click on the Square Principle page like I just did, click Pay Deposit, and that you can put a $1,000 fully refundable deposit down, and that deposit will hold your seat. And about 2 weeks prior to the seminar on June 25th, we'll call you to collect the remainder, and then we'll see you at the seminar on June 25th, Saturday and Sunday, here in Las Vegas at the Mirage Hotel. Page Trader is a long time member of the Better Business Bureau. We've done millions and millions of dollars worth of business over the years. We have an A+ rating, and we're accredited, which is their highest rating. That means that we don't have customers that didn't get what they were promised. We don't have customers who have deposits that they didn't get back. Everybody gets treated fairly and wonderfully because we're people too, and we want to just do the right thing. That's just who we are. So we don't get a rating like this without doing that. You know how quick people are to complain, and so on. We earned this rating by treating people like you and giving you exactly what we promise you. Many people have come to the Square Principle seminar, and we only have great results from them and great compliments from them. You're welcome to check out our page. Now, I do want to say to you that I do have questions. You may have questions for me about the square principle. You may be thinking about coming about it. And let's see what you've got to say. Jeff is here and he says, what was the Amazon forecast again? Well, first things first, I just want to say, because again, like virtually, it seems like every time we've done these forecasts, I'll give it to you in just a moment. Every time we have a forecast like, hey, this will have a chance to forecast that the S&P is going to go up to the 31, 32 late in the session. We start this, and by that time they've already done it. So, or before we get a chance to even say it. So I had to throw together, like I did last week, I threw together the forecast that you see on the right here for Tesla. This was I just had to come up with that very quickly. It was at 988 that they were going to go. And I'm doing the same thing with Amazon. Amazon is, this morning, when we originally made the forecast, they were trading around 33.60 for them to be up at around 34.35 to 34.40 in next week, which is the week of April 4th. So I hope that's good, Jeff. Guy is here and he says, could you repeat the forecast on Amazon? That's what it was. And we do forecast on stocks. We have wonderful calls for what markets are going to do. We're long a whole bunch of stocks, in those forecasts. We're long Tesla, we're long Amazon. And many of you know that when we forecast for Tesla last week, you could have taken advantage of the 988 buy for the market to move up to 1,050 or higher, and you would have been very happy with that. But nowhere near as happy as you're doing it yourself with this knowledge. Nowhere near. I can tell you there's a distinctive difference between people who have subscribed and are getting this great information from us that we work hard to put out, and people who have worked to come to the Square Principle seminar and learned it for themselves and are able to do it. And that's what the offer is for you. No promises that we'll have later seminars, although we would like to do it. The world's just too unstable now to know, but we have booked this seminar. It is available for you, and you can book your seat with a $1,000 deposit. If for whatever reason you can't make it, or you simply change your mind, or any other reason, just call us and we'll refund your full $1,000 deposit. It doesn't cost you anything. All that deposit does for us is let us know that you're serious enough to say, yeah, I want to come, and we'll print your materials for you. We'll get everything available for you. We'll let the Mirage know that you're going to be there because we're going to be feeding you while you're there. A bunch of things go into play, but it doesn't cost you anything. It just lets us know that you're serious enough to come. And listen, things do happen in life. You may have every intention of coming and may not be able to make it. Maybe something comes up where you have to be somewhere else. Just call us. We will refund your deposit the same day that you call, not at the end of the month or some other period that we do refunds. It's that same day. So let me check and see if there's any other questions for you. I've pretty much laid it out as best as I can. The funny thing about really knowing something the way that I know the Square Principle is that people have gotten so used to being told untruths and half-truths, partial truths, especially in this industry, that when somebody comes along and says this is exactly what the market's going to do 5 weeks in a row, and the market goes and does that, they're actually possibly even more suspicious of what's going on, even though they've seen it for themselves. It's the old saying that, the false travels around the world 50 times before the truth gets across the street. But for the few of you that know that I really do have special knowledge about the nature of the market, and I really will teach it to you. For those of you that know that and are willing to come to the seminar, your life will be changed directly by having that knowledge. It's like nothing that you presently have, and it has nothing to do with any indicators or anything else that you've used, read about, or anything else. If you're interested in being able to forecast the market with a very high degree of accuracy, I believe that there's no better place for you to be on June 25th and June 26th than at the Mirage Hotel with me, David Williams, to teach you the incredible Square Principle. I'll be there. And the question is, since I know you know it's real, I know many of you have seen it now for the last 5 weeks. There can be no question about its authenticity. The only real question is are you ready? Some people may even be afraid, honestly, of having something like this. It might actually frighten you, like the genie that comes along and says you can have a wish, and people are almost afraid to make it because it's such a life-changing thing. Some people have told me that they were actually frightened to come because they knew that it was going to change their life. And so people go through lots of different things when something really true is given to them. It has a different taste, a different flavor than what you've heard, and it may even be a little unnerving because it is so direct and so obviously true. So most of you have seen it for yourself. I know you know it is real. And now the only question for you is, are you ready to have your life changed by the square principle? Because everyone else that I've taught it to will tell you that it has changed theirs, and for the better. I'm going to check and see if you have any other questions here. I certainly appreciate your coming to give us the time and attention that you've given us today. If you don't have any further questions, I do want to finally just say it has been a real pleasure to have you here, to have you seriously listen and consider coming on June 25th and June 26th. Check out what the markets do. Like I told you, come take a trial, watch us do this for 5 days, or subscribe to a product if you really like, if you want to, but you don't have to. You can just come listen by taking a trial. Check out Amazon, follow us a little bit and see what it is that we're doing. And I certainly think you'll make a decision soon that learning this and knowing this is certainly worlds better than guessing and playing around with indicators and looking for the next thing. This is not the next thing. This is the real thing, and there is a difference. So thanks so much for coming today. Really appreciate it. I hope all of you do well, whether you come or not. But I know this, though, those of you that do come to the Square Principle will leave with knowledge that puts you in a vastly different position with regard to forecasting markets. I know that for a fact. And I think you do too. Thanks so much for coming. I look forward to seeing you next time. We'll have another webinar, next week. And I may even make another forecast then as well. Thanks again, everybody. I'll see you then. Stay well. See you next time.